I will be discussing stranger to contract, that is doctrine of privity of contract. It is a general rule of contract that only parties to contract can sue and be sued. That means that only party to contract can file a suit against each other. So only party to contract can be sued and be sued on that contract. This rule is known as doctrine of privity. That is relationship between the parties to contract. Since a contract is a private relationship between the parties who make it, the rights and obligations under such a contract are strictly confined to them, that is strictly confined to the parties. This is known as doctrine of privity of contract. It is a general rule of law that a person who is not a party to contract cannot sue upon it, even though the contract is for his benefit. In simple words, if there is a contract between A and B, C, he being a stranger, or C, being a third party, cannot enforce it. He cannot enforce the contract. Only A will have right against B and B will have right against A. So the party to contract are A and B. So A and B can file, sue and be sued against each other. Means they can only enforce the contract. The law does not allow a stranger to file a suit on the contract. This right is available only to person who is a party to the contract, and this is called as doctrine of privity of contract. There are certain exceptions. Though person is not a party, he can enforce the contract. So the exceptions are a trust or a charge. Second, marriage settlement, partition or other family arrangements. Third, acknowledgement and estoppel. Fourth, assignment of contract. Number 5, exception, contract with agent. And number 6, exception is covenant running with land. So doctrine of privity and exceptions, privity of contract and privity of consideration. A stranger to contract cannot sue, but a stranger to consideration can sue. As you all know, here privity of contract means it is a relation between the parties. That is contractual relation which subsists between the parties. Once the contract is enter into, there is a contractual relation between the party, and that relation is known as privity. So here only party to contract can enforce the contract. A stranger to contract cannot sue. But further, a stranger to consideration can sue. For example, here, if there is a contract between A and B, so A and B are the parties to contract. So C, being a stranger, he cannot enforce the contract. But here, if on behalf of B, if C has provided consideration, in this case, B is a stranger to consideration, but he is not a stranger to contract. So here B, though he is a stranger to consideration, but being a party to contract, he can enforce the contract. But C, he is a stranger to contract, he cannot enforce the contract. For example, A promises to pay rupees 10,000 to B if he delivers goods to C. In this example, C is a stranger to contract. If B fails to deliver goods to C, C, being a stranger to the contract, cannot sue B. On the same point, we are going to discuss the case law Dunlop Tire Company versus Selfridges and Company. The appellant, that is Dunlop Company, who were manufacturer of motor car tires. They sold some tires to Dew and Company with agreement or with direction that these tires will not be sold below the list price. The Dew and Company, they were dealers or sub-dealers. So Dew and Company in their turn sold some of these tires to respondent Selfridges and Company with an agreement between Dew and Company with the same agreement that these tires they will not sell below the list price of the company. So here the respondent, in this case that is Selfridges and Company, sold some of the tire below the list price of the company which is provided. At the time of agreement between Dew and S company, Dew company also directed that not to sold the tires below the list price of the company. But in this case, Selfridges and Company has sold some of the tires below the list price of the company. And therefore here the appellant, that is Dunlop Tire Company, filed a suit against S, that is Selfridges and Company. The House of Lords held that Dunlop Company could not bring an action against Selfridges and Company because there was no contract between the two. The first contract was entered into between Dunlop Tire Company and Dew and Company. Another agreement entered into between Dew and Selfridges and Company. So there was no agreement between Dunlop and S company. So Dunlop company, being a stranger to contract, cannot enforce the contract against Selfridges and Company. Tweedle versus Atkinson. In this case, it was held that only party to contract can sue each other. The same principle will be applicable in this case. In that case, the plaintiff A married a girl B. After marriage, there was contract in writing between A's father and B's father, that is, the girl's father and the boy's father, that each would pay a certain sum of money to A, and that A will have the power to sue for such sum. After the death of the two father, A, that is a girl, brought an action against the executors of B's father to recover the promised amount. It was held that A could not sue for the same. In the above stated case, the plaintiff was both a stranger to contract as well as stranger to consideration, and he could not enforce the same. The same principle would be applicable here, that a stranger to contract cannot sue, because in this case, the agreement was between the two father, that is the father of a girl and father of a boy, and therefore he being a stranger, he cannot enforce the contract. Application of the doctrine in Indian law. Even though under the Indian Contract Act the definition of consideration is wider than English law, yet the common principle of privity of contract is generally applicable in India also, with the effect that only a party to contract is entitled to enforce the same. That means stranger to contract cannot enforce the contract. The authority for the application of the rule in India is decision of the Privy Council in Jamnadas versus Ram Avatar. In this case, A had mortgaged some property to X. A then sold the property to B. B, at the time of selling, B having agreed with A to pay off the mortgage debt to X. X brought an action against B to recover the mortgage money. It was held that by the Privy Council that since there was contract between X and B, there was no contract between X and B, X could not enforce the contract to recover the amount from B. So the doctrine of privity of contract means that Only those persons who are parties to contract can enforce the same. A stranger to contract cannot enforce a contract even though the contract may have been entered into for his benefit. If in a contract between A and B some benefit has been conferred upon X, X cannot file a suit to enforce the contract because A and B are the only parties to contract, whereas X is a stranger to contract. The rule that a stranger to contract cannot sue has to distinguish from the rule discussed above, that in India a person who is a stranger to consideration can sue. It has been noted above that a person may not have himself given any consideration, but he can enforce the contract if he is a party to contract. As I have discussed the example of A and B, and A and B is a party to contract, C being a stranger, he cannot enforce the contract. But on behalf of B, if C has provided consideration, so here B is a stranger to contract. So according to Indian law, consideration may be given either by promisee or by a third party. That does not affect the rule of privity. So this already we have discussed. So in India, a stranger to consideration can sue, but a stranger to contract cannot sue. According to Indian law, consideration may be given either by promisee or third party. That does not affect the rule of privity of contract. Let us discuss exception to the rule that a stranger to contract cannot sue. As in England, so in India, certain exceptions to doctrine of privity of contract have been recognized by the court. The first exception is beneficiaries in case of a trust. A trust is created for the benefit of beneficiary. In a contract of trust, the owner, that is known as settlor, and the trustee are party to contract, and the beneficiary is a stranger to contract. A beneficiary can enforce the provision of the trust even though he is a stranger to the contract. For example, A agrees to transfer certain property to be held by T in trust for the benefit of B. So B here is a beneficiary. B can enforce the contract, that is the trust, even though he is not a party to agreement. For example, here if there is agreement between A and T, that is the owner of the property or the settlor and the trustee, but for the benefit of B, that is beneficiary. So B, though he is not a party to agreement between A and T, still he can enforce the trust or he can enforce the contract. So though he is not a party, he is a stranger to contract, can enforce the same. Next, on the same point, we are going to discuss this case law, Khwaja Muhammad Khan versus Hussaini Begum. In this case, there was an agreement between the father of a boy and a girl that if the girl, that is plaintiff in this case, married to a particular boy, the boy's father, that is defendant in this case, would pay certain personal allowance known as Kharchai Pandar, or that can be known as betel box expenses or P money to the plaintiff, that is to the girl. It was also mentioned that a certain property had been set aside by the defendant and this allowance would be paid out of the income of that property. The plaintiff married the defendant's son, but the defendant failed to pay the allowance agreed by him. In an action by the plaintiff, that is by the girl, to claim this allowance, the defendant contended that his contract to pay the allowance had been made only with the plaintiff's father, that is the girl's father, and not with the plaintiff. And she, being a stranger to contract, cannot sue. It was held that in the present case, the basis of the plaintiff's claim being a specific charge on immovable property in her favor, and therefore she is entitled to claim the same as a beneficiary, and as such the common law rule is not applicable to the fact and circumstances of the present case. So here in this case, if the common law principle is applied, in that case it would be injustice to the party. So there are certain customary laws or custom in which applying common law would be injustice to the party, and therefore here the claim was that was a specific charge on immovable property, and therefore she is entitled to claim the allowance. Another exception, marriage settlement, partition or other family arrangements. When an arrangement is made in connection with marriage, partition or other family arrangements, and a provision is made for the benefit of a person, he or she may sue although he or she is not a party to the agreement. For example, when at the time of partition, the parties to it agree to incur marriage expenses of a female or a daughter who is not a party to the contract. So though she is not a party to contract, she can claim marriage expenses. Another example, Reena was living in a Hindu undivided family. The family had made a provision for her marriage. After some time, the family went through a partition and Reena filed a suit to claim her marriage expenses. The court held that Reena can enforce the agreement because Reena was the beneficiary of the provision in spite being a stranger to contract. So though she is a stranger to contract, but she can enforce the same. Third exception, acknowledgement or estoppel, where an agreement requires a party to carry out an act for a third party and such third party acknowledges or conducts himself in a manner which amounts to an acknowledgement, he is bound to carry out such act. Where he fails to do so, such a third party can sue him. For example, Miss Ami handed over two pairs of shoes to Mr. Chandu and asked Mr. Chandu to deliver the shoes to Miss Dia. Mr. Chandu agreed but has failed to deliver the said items to Miss Dia. Miss Dia can enforce the agreement against Mr. Chandu even though she was not a party to the agreement. Another example we can discuss here, A receives some money from T to be paid over to P. A admits of this receipt to P. So P can recover the amount from A, who shall be regarded as the agent of P. Where by the terms of a contract, a party is required to make a payment to a third person and he acknowledges it to that third person, a binding obligation is thereby incurred towards him. Another example, A sold his house to B under a registered sale deed and left a part of the sale price in his hands, desiring him to pay this amount to C, his creditor. Subsequently, B made part payment to C, informing him that they were out of the sale price left with him and that the balance would be remitted immediately. B, however, failed to remit the balance and C sued him for the same. The suit was held to be maintainable, though originally there was no privity of contract between B and C. B, having subsequently acknowledged his liability. Therefore, C was entitled to sue him for recovery of the amount. Fourth exception, assignment of contract or law relating to negotiable instrument. The law relating to negotiable instrument is also an exception to the doctrine of privity of contract. This can be understood with the help of following illustration. A has an account in Bank of Maharashtra. A draws a check of rupees 10,000 in favor of B. B goes to bank to encash the check. Although there is no contract between the bank and B, yet the bank will liable to pay rupees 10,000 to B. B may also endorse the check to C, and then C will be entitled to receive rupees 10,000 from the bank, although there is no privity between bank and C. Thus, the holder in due course of a negotiable instrument can realize the amount on it even though there is no contract between him and the person liable to pay. Negotiable instrument means bill of exchange, promissory note and check are called as negotiable instrument. The instrument which transfer from one person to another. Another exception, contract entered into through an agent. The principal can enforce the contract entered into by an agent, provided the agent acts within the scope of his authority and in the name of the principal during the course of business, because there is a contract between the principal and the customer. So an agent being not a party to agreement, the agreement which is entered into by an agent can enforce by the principal. Another exception to the rule that a stranger to contract cannot sue, covenant, that number 6, covenants running with the land. In case of transfer of movable property, the purchaser of land with notice that the owner of the land is bound by certain conditions or covenants created by an agreement affecting the land shall be bound by them, although he was not party to the original agreement which contained the condition or covenant. So put simply, covenants, burdens and rights that runs with the land when they are tied to the property irrespective of ownership. Ownership may be with, for example, with A or B, or it may be with C. But if there is a covenant, so here the covenant always runs with the land and they survive conveyance and transfer of the land from one owner to another. So when covenants, burdens and rights run with the land when they are tied to property respective of ownership and they survive conveyance and transfers of the land from one owner to another. So when a person let us discuss the illustration. When a person purchases a piece of land with the notice that the owner of the land will be bound by all duties and liabilities affecting the land, then he can sue upon a contract between the previous landowner and a settler, even if he was not a party to contract. For example, Prakash owned a piece of land which he sold to Jeevan under covenant that a certain part of land will be maintained as a public park. Jeevan abided by the covenant and eventually sold the land to Akash. Though Akash was Though Akash was aware of the covenant, he built a house in the particular plot. When the Prakash came to know of it, he filed a suit against Akash. Although Akash denied liability since he was not a party to contract, the court held him responsible for violating the covenant. So here, in this case, though a person is not a party to contract or he is a stranger to contract, if it is in under exception, he can enforce the contract. Thank you.